everyone? My name is Jamon McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. Today we are breaking down the Kansas City Chiefs roster heading into the 2020 NFL season, and we'll talk about the Kansas City Chiefs roster overall. I will give a record prediction for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll go over their schedule and all that good stuff. So let's get started right here. So the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I'm just going to get this off my chest right away. At worst, I think this team wins 10 games. That's at worst. This team is very talented, I think that 10 wins is this team's floor. Now, football is a game of inches. I will admit that, And when we look at teams, every single year, not everything is going to go your way in the game of football because, like I said, it's a game of inches, You can have a ton of injuries pile up, You can get a team coming off a bye week when they're very hot, You could get a scheduling break. You could not get a scheduling break, for certain things. There's just a lot of factors that go into football. And usually, in the grand scheme of things, in most of your games, the games honestly come down to which team makes the 3 to 4 big-time plays that ultimately win or change the game, okay? So I understand that football is a very hard sport, and the NFL, it's a grind, man. But listen, this team is returning 19 of 22 starters from their Super Bowl winning roster, okay? And not to mention, they have the best player in football on their roster, and his name is Patrick Mahomes. I don't think it's up for debate that if Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson. I'm sorry, Aaron Donald. Patrick Mahomes, after winning the Super Bowl this year, I don't know how you cannot name him the best player in football. He's just that good. 50 touchdown passes his first year as a starter. He follows it up by going on a great playoff run, down 20-0 to the Houston Texans, wins that game in the playoffs, down 10 points to the Titans, wins that game in the playoffs, and down 10 points to the Super Bowl to the number one defense, last year, in my opinion, which was the 49ers. He wins that game. So Patrick Mahomes, he's the most talented quarterback in all of football, and he's the best overall player in all of football. He's the most dominant player right now. And when I look at the Chiefs, I'll get to their schedule specifically a little bit later down the road, but outside of at Baltimore and maybe at Tampa Bay and maybe at New Orleans, I guarantee you the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be favored in all their games, mainly due to the fact that they have the best player on the field. When you have the best player in football at your disposal, you're going to be favored to win most of your games, okay? And when we look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense, obviously, you have the best quarterback in all of football. His name is Patrick Mahomes. Now, Damian Williams is, not going to be playing this season. He opted out, roughly, I think about 2 weeks ago, something like that. Maybe it was a week ago. I can't quite remember when Damian Williams opted out for the season, but he's not playing this year. But they also added in the draft a running back that I really like. And his name is Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU. That guy is a monster. He can do everything. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He's great at running in between the tackles. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got great vision. He's everything you want in a great running back. And no disrespect to Damian Williams, who actually had a case to win Super Bowl MVP in my opinion. Okay, but either way, no disrespect to Damian Williams, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the most talented running back on that team, okay? The guy had 1,400 yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, and 6.6 yards per carry last year for the LSU Tigers, okay? He's a stud. Imagine having a lead, by 10 points in the fourth quarter, and you have to deal with Clyde Edwards-Helaire running down your throat as the Kansas City Chiefs chew out clock. That's pretty special right there. Not to mention Travis Kelce, second best tight end in all of football, but only to George Kittle in my opinion. You still got Tyreek Hill, one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Mecole Hardman, he's explosive. Sammy Watkins, DeMarcus Robinson. This Kansas City Chiefs offense is probably arguably the best in football, They have a very solid offensive line led by Mitchell Schwartz, who's one of the most underrated great players in the NFL. No one talks about him. He's great. But also the big story for the Chiefs as to why they truly became a Super Bowl winning team last year was due to the fact that their defense stepped up big time. Last year, that defense was a top 10 unit, led by Chris Jones, who they just locked up to a contract extension, led by Frank Clark, led by the Honey Badger. Juan Thornhill also was a very promising rookie who got hurt, midway through the season last year. I think he has a chance to be a star at safety. This team was top 10 in points per game allowed last year, so that's pretty good. And when we look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year in the playoffs, I know they were down 20-0 to the Houston Texans, but after they went down 20-0 to Houston, Houston only scored one more touchdown after that. They held Deshaun Watson in check once the offense started to get going. They shut down Derrick Henry in the AFC Championship game. And ultimately, I think they did a pretty good job of stopping the run and holding their own versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs offense was looking bad for about 3.5 quarters in that Super Bowl. But you want to know why they were able to win that game? Obviously because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in that offense are very, very good, but also because the defense kept the game manageable. They kept the game close, and they just said, hey, Patrick Mahomes, we're going to keep giving you the ball back. You need to take us there. And he ultimately did that. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are a very good team. I think that when you look at their defense, I do have some worries at middle linebacker. I do have some worries at cornerback. I think Bashaud Breeland is a good player, but anytime Bashaud Breeland is your best overall cornerback, that kind of worries me a little bit. But this Kansas City Chiefs defense should be pretty good once again. I think at worst, they're a top 15 unit, and I expect them to probably be a top 10 unit once again this year, okay? And the offense obviously is going to score a bunch of points and maybe be the best in football. And ultimately, I believe the Kansas City Chiefs should be the Super Bowl favorites. Now, am I picking them to win the Super Bowl? Maybe. You guys are going to have to find out later down the road once I do my official playoff predictions. But look, just because they're the Super Bowl favorites, that does not automatically guarantee they will win the Super Bowl, because you see teams that are great, like the Ravens last year, get knocked out by the Titans, like the Saints last year, get knocked out by the Vikings. We see great teams get knocked out all the time, but if you were to put a gun to my head and say who's the safest bet to win the Super Bowl next year, I say the Kansas City Chiefs have a very good chance to repeat. Now, will they do it? That remains to be seen, but I have the Kansas City Chiefs going 12-4 in 2020. I believe this is a 12-4 football team. This is going to be a top 3 offense, a top 15 defense at worst. It's probably a top 10 unit this year. And this is a team that knows how to win. This is a team last year that figured out how to win. And Patrick Mahomes, he's the best player in football. And keep in mind, he could get better. Because let me tell you something right now. Patrick Mahomes, he's only 24 years old. He's not at the level of an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, as far as his knowledge at the line of scrimmage and reading defenses. Now, Patrick Mahomes is the most talented thrower in the NFL at the moment, so he can kind of get away with a bunch of things. But imagine how good Patrick Mahomes is going to be once he recognizes the blitzes a lot more earlier. Once he recognizes defenses and what they're trying to do and really just dissecting things on the football field at the line of scrimmage. He's going to get better at those things as he continues to play. And he's already the best player in football at age 24. In my opinion, we actually have not even seen the best version of Patrick Mahomes. And that is scary. Now, I do think that Denver is a real threat in the division. I do think they're going to be a good team this year. I have them winning 10 games this year. I do believe the Chargers are a team that we should respect because they have a lot of talent both on offense and defense. And I do like what the Raiders are building. But I just think Kansas City is a 12-4 football team. And ultimately, let's look at the schedule a little bit right here and kind of figure out where they can win and lose some games. I'm not going to predict where they're going to lose and win games. I'll just kind of give you a synopsis of what I'm thinking. Let's get right to it as far as their schedule goes. Okay, actually, the first 3 games of the season, I would think the Kansas City Chiefs might start off 1-2. They could start off 1-2. I do see a slight Super Bowl hangover within the first 4 weeks. I think Houston has a real shot to actually beat Kansas City in week number 1, just due to the fact that Houston did beat them in the regular season last year. And Houston, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder based on what happened in the playoffs last year. I think Deshaun Watson could actually go into Arrowhead and get a victory. I do think they'll probably beat the Chargers. Now, at Baltimore, I think Baltimore is due for a win. That's a Monday Night Football game on the road And the last 2 times Lamar Jackson has faced Patrick Mahomes, he's lost. I think Lamar Jackson is probably due for a win versus Patrick Mahomes, so I'd probably say on the road at Baltimore, that would be a loss. Now, Patriots at home, that could get interesting. The Patriots did lose to the Chiefs last year, so they could have some extra motivation to beat them this year. I think Kansas City is too explosive offensively. I'd probably say Kansas City wins that game. Now, after the first 4 weeks on your schedule, I think that after the first 4 games on your schedule, pardon me, I think the schedule actually gets relatively easy. The Las Vegas Raiders, I think they're good, but they're not Kansas City Chiefs level good. You'll probably win that game. At Buffalo, Thursday night game, yeah, that could potentially, pose some problems for the Chiefs. It is a Thursday night game on the road, but I'd be darned if I picked Josh Allen to beat Patrick Mahomes, okay? I don't think Buffalo is going to be able to score enough points to keep up with Kansas City, so I'd probably lean toward Kansas City in that game. At Denver, I'd be splitting with Denver this year. Now, will you lose in week 8 or in week 13? That remains to be seen, but I'd be splitting with Denver this year. I think Denver's going to be a good team. Jets should be a win. They're not good enough offensively to win that game. They're just not a very good team. Panthers at home, that should be a win. Bye week at Raiders, probably a win. Coming off a bye week, I trust you to beat Derek Carr. Now, at Buccaneers, that could be a loss. I think late in the season, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers will be clicking on all cylinders. Now, I would actually lean toward Kansas City to win this game simply because I think that Kansas City is just a tad more explosive offensively than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I could see Tampa Bay winning that game maybe. All right, now Denver, I already talked about that. That could be a split right there. You could actually sweep Denver this year. I think they're a good team. I think you'll split with them. At Miami, I don't think Miami is quite ready to compete with a team like Kansas City. It's probably a win. Now at New Orleans, when we look at Miami and New Orleans, I think you split those games. I think that you'll probably beat Miami, but lose to New Orleans. New Orleans is a very talented team. It's on the road. That's probably a loss late in the season. And then Falcons and Chargers, I'm pretty confident in saying that you'll win both those games. So, either way you slice it, I look at the schedule, I can only see about 4 losses on the season. I could maybe see 5 if there's a little bit more of a Super Bowl hangover. Maybe 6 losses if a lot of things go wrong. But I believe in Patrick Mahomes. I believe in Andy Reid. And I believe the Kansas City Chiefs arguably might be Super Bowl favorites this year. I believe the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go 12-4 during the 2020-21 NFL season. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.